Foraging nuts. It is something that is fun to do, exciting, and can have a valuable or become a valuable addition to your small farm, homestead, or estate. I'm Justin Hitt with Prosperity Homestead. Me and my son today were out harvesting walnuts or hickory nuts. I'm not really sure. Acorns, different aspects of honey-locust. Okay, now it sounds like I have no idea what I'm talking about. We were picking up these nuts, and my intention is to sprout them into trees and then plant those trees out. And you might be saying, well, Justin, you ought to know what kind of nuts you're picking up. I was picking up nuts, and this is very important when you're scavenging for nuts or you're foraging for nuts. I'm picking up nuts that are an attractant to deer or have a high protein level that would be suitable for hogs. And so what I was looking for is oak trees with lots of acorns on the ground. I actually found a very young oak tree, about 5 to 10 year old oak tree that just had an explosion of acorns on the ground. I'm looking for favorable characteristics. So a young tree that produces nuts is more valuable than nuts from a very large tree. Large nuts like the walnut, like the hickory, those are good trees because they have a larger fruit, but also when the fruit falls down, it has multiple uses. And now off the top of my head, they look like pears, round pears, and they have a solid shell in the inside, and the outside smells like soap, and you can use them for dyes. So I don't remember which of the hickory or walnut that particular was. But my point being is that I won't be alive for those trees at full maturity for timber. But if I can find trees to put in my paddocks for cows or for pigs or for goats, then I'm going to be ahead of the game when it comes to feeding them and even finishing hogs on acorns, for example. Now, to grow a tree from a acorn to a full-blown tree that's going to produce nuts, you're looking at 5 to 10 years. So what you want to have available to you is the nuts that you've collected and a place to put those nuts to sprout them into small trees. And then as you sift and sort those trees, you can then either pot some up or put them out in a field or a particular paddock area. So the collection of nuts I have, if you click the link below, there's a special report I put together about this, which is more comprehensive than I'm describing here. But ultimately, you take the nuts and you put them in trays or beds that are full of wood chips or layers of wood chips and some compost. You put the nuts right on the surface, and then you cover them with hardware cloth. So sometimes the bottom of these are air gapped and they have hardware cloth, but you put hardware cloth on the top so that the squirrels don't get in and dig up the nuts. But there's enough room between the surface of the soil and the top of the hardware cloth in order for your trees to start to sprout. Now, if you have a greenhouse, you can do this in a greenhouse. I like to spread the trees out in like a 4x8 area on the ground, and then after they sprout, I will dig up the trees and put them in pots and then take them into a greenhouse or take them into a more protected area and grow those trees out to about 1 foot or 2 foot tall and then go back and put them in the field. Now, when the tree is about hip height, so maybe 4 foot tall, 3 or 4 foot tall, you can actually go put it out in the field and just put a fence around it so that the fence protects it from deer and other such animals. As the tree grows along, there'll be a point where the tree will get big enough it'll take care of itself, and you don't have to worry about animals scraping it or eating it. And there's never an expectation that all the nuts are going to sprout, so you want to do this pretty much every year. But it's an excellent way to start introducing different plants to your property. If you click the link below and ask your questions, we do have a special report on this, and ultimately you can get $1,000, $2,000 worth of trees. Now let me explain that really quick. The nuts themselves have value because if you had to buy the nuts, you'd have to pay for it. The tree has value as it grows because it's creating leaf compost or leaf mulch, and then the tree can actually feed animals for a number of years. So let's say after 5 years, it's dropping fruit or it's dropping nuts. Actually, I found a native orange tree or lemon tree for my region. But again, the fruit falls, the animals eat the fruit, whether it's chickens, goats, or hogs. or even larger animals. And then as the tree matures, it matures to timber, and then you have the value of the timber. So you're looking at the lifetime value of that tree. It is well worth you bending down, picking up some nuts here and there, and collecting some regional trees. If it's a regional tree, you know it's going to sprout, and you're going to have some kind of tree. Now, when I plant out any kind of tree, I interplant some kind of nitrogen-fixing tree, like a red bud, or there's just a whole list of nitrogen-fixing trees and clover and shrubs and different types of things. You want that kind of polyculture so you can get those trees growing quick. Again, click the link below and ask your questions. I do have a short program about this. I'd love to share it with you. And it's really about just how do you get that diversity in your food forest, or how do you get that diversity in your pasture? How do you get that diversity in your wooded areas? And you want to favor trees that already attract deer, that already attract the animals that you're looking for. And it can just add so much value to your land. Again, I'm Justin Hitt with Prosperity Homestead. Thanks for listening. We're here to help small farms, homesteads, and estates increase their property values and the utility of their land.